What's up guys, Crane here from LogicLounge.com. This week Apple had a huge media event releasing the iPhone 5. We'll learn all about that and more coming up in this video. Okay, so Apple had a huge media event today. They had the introduction of the next iPhone, the iPhone 5 as it's officially called. There are going to be three versions, the 16GB version, the 32GB version, and the 64GB version, coming in $199, $299, and $399, available on Verizon, AT&T, and Sprint. Now, let's get into what is inside of the iPhone. It does have the Apple A6 processor, which is dual-core CPU and quad-core graphics. And overall, they're boasting a 2 times better in both graphics and processing performance. Again, like the iPhone 4S, it does have 1GB of RAM, and it does have a bigger screen. It now has a 4-inch screen instead of a 3.5-inch screen at 1136 by 640, and it has 326 pixels per inch. So it is a Retina display on the iPhone. Now, they've done something different with the camera, and they actually changed the name from just the camera to the EyeSight camera. It is a 8-megapixel camera like you do see in the 4S. It has mostly the same parts. They're boasting better image quality off of that, and that's due to the powerful processor that does record in 1080p and uses a new lens element, Sapphire. They're using Sapphire in their lens elements. The front camera got a huge upgrade as well. It does have a 720p camera that takes 1.2 megapixel pictures. And of course, with all of this camera stuff, there is a panorama mode, a native panorama mode put in, so you can take panorama photos with iOS 6, maybe iOS 6. I'm not sure if they're going to do it just with the iPhone 5 or it's going to be built into the iOS 6. We'll see when all of that comes out. There are 3 microphones on the iPhone 5. There's one at the top, one at the bottom, and one on the back by the camera, so you can record video with the phone facing you. Now there's 3 cellular versions. There's a GSM, a CDMA, and a second GSM phone. They're all LTE enabled, and we believe that the third GSM is for the world, for other countries that aren't the US to be using, or that could be the Sprint version. But we're not sure just yet. We'll have to see when they finally release the iPhone 5 which that version is. It does have dual band Wi-Fi on A, B, G, and N using the 2.4 and the 5 gigahertz bands. It's also using Bluetooth 4.0, so it is getting an upgrade there. And you can FaceTime both on Wi-Fi and your cellular devices, of course, when your cellular provider permits it. And of course, we'll probably see AT&T and Verizon making you pay to use FaceTime over cellular, but that's in the future when the iPhone 5 gets released. The battery life has been improved majorly with a minimum time of 8 hours. If you're using talk time, 3G or LTE, you get a minimum of 8 hours and a maximum of 225 hours on standby. That's up from 200 we see in the 4S. Also 40 hours of audio talk time and 10 hours of video time. And when I say audio, I mean listening to music. There is one revolutionary thing. There's a new connector called the Lightning connector. It is a 2-way connector, so each way is the right way. You physically can't put it in the wrong way, upside down, like you can with your USB ports. There's only one way to put it. Well, you can turn it right side up or upside down and it'll fit. It's much, much smaller as well. And of course, if you want to still use that connector, but you have the 30-pin connectors from Apple, they will be providing an adapter, probably for a charge, maybe 15 bucks, if they're not satisfied. The weight of the iPhone 5 is 112 grams. 112 grams, that's super freaking light, man. The colors are black and slate, so the back is not glass anymore. It's actually a brushed aluminum metal. And there's also white and silver if you want a white phone. Pre-orders start September 14th, ships September 21st to most major countries, and everywhere else December of 2012. Now let's move on to iOS 6. They showed off maps showing all of the mapping features, as well as places of interest that are included with iOS Maps. They also showed off the iOS 6 Notification Center, showing that you can tweet and post to Facebook directly from the Notification Center wherever you are in your device. They also showed off Mail as well, showing VIP email addresses, so you can make a email address VIP, and so when somebody emails you that's on that VIP list, it'll go to a special mailbox, and that's very cool. They also showed off Passbook as well, and if you don't know what Passbook is, it's basically a virtual wallet. You can keep your credit cards in there, your tickets, your flight information. There's a lot of stuff that you can use for it. Definitely willing to see that in iOS 6. They also showed off shared photo streams as well. As you know, you can take pictures, but you can't share those albums of pictures that you have easily. So in iOS 6, you can have shared photo streams, so you can make a photo stream public, have people subscribe to it, and then when you take photos and they upload, they'll be broadcasted to all the devices that are connected with that shared photo stream. They also showed off more Siri commands as well, that she can now check game stats, so you can ask what's the score of the football game, or what's the score of the baseball game. You can also have her check movie times as well and tell you what movies are now in playing, and she can also find restaurants and other shopping centers or places of interest very easily. So that's very cool to see Siri becoming even more awesome. We're also seeing iTunes got a huge update. iTunes has been redesigned from the ground up with Facebook integration, preview while browsing, improved search, share to Facebook and Twitter, and it will be available September 19th when the new iTunes is released for the iOS devices, and the desktop version has been redesigned as well totally from the ground up with side-to-side viewing, so you can use more of the iTunes window to display than what you are used to in the past. You can also see in-store, that's what they're calling it, in-store, or in the store, sorry, where you can view an album that you have in your iTunes store and then see what the popular songs are, the popular albums, see a lot of statistics for it, and that's really cool to see that from Apple. There's also a new redesigned mini player as well that gives you more function and functionality over iTunes in that mini player form. Definitely hoping to get our hands on this. Available October. No set date yet, just October. Now let's go and talk about the new iPod and iPod Touches. So let's talk about the iPod Nano. It got totally redesigned from the ground up, has physical buttons, a 2.5-inch screen, multi-touch, comes in 7 different colors, and integrates Bluetooth. That's awesome for those people who want an entry-level iPod. And it's available in 16 gigabytes for $149, so it's not that expensive. Now let's talk about the iPod Touch. It's kind of like the iPhone 4, or the features are. It has the same screen as the iPhone 5, so it's the same dimensions. It has the A5 chip, a 5-megapixel camera with flash. It has an iPod Touch loop, so it's a little loop, so if you drop your iPhone a lot, you can keep it secured on your wrist. A 720p FaceTime camera comes in 5 different colors and will be available in August for 32 gigabytes and 64 gigabytes at $299 and $399 respectively. There's also red versions as well that helps with AIDS over in Africa, so you can get those, and they'll cost a little bit more, but that extra money will actually go to supporting AIDS research in Africa and finding a cure. So that's really cool if you like supporting companies. As well as they've redesigned the headphones, which is really cool. This was a major part of it. They actually redesigned the headphones from the ground up and use a more direct sound to get it directly into your ear. They're called EarPods now. They're not just Apple earbuds, they're actually called EarPods, and they spent 3 years of designing these. So we're happy to see what Apple has to come out for that. That's basically all the major news coming out from Apple, just some mobile updates, which is really cool. And if you have questions for me, email me, Creighton@LogicLounge.com. Of course, you can follow our social media profiles on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+, all under the username of LogicLounge. And until our next video, we'll see you guys later.